So today I want to talk about suitability and investing and why it makes no sense most of the time to listen to most of these people online that you see giving financial advice out there. So what is suitability in the first place? It's part of the regulations when you sit down with any kind of financial advisor, and the TLDR version of it pretty much is that it's to prevent people from recommending the same type of investment for every single client that they encounter. So simply put, when you think about it, what it means is that every individual's needs are different. I'm not going to look at, person A and then person B and say, you know what, both of you should buy Amazon because Amazon's, a really good stock and that's what you should go for. If I were to suggest the same type of investment for every single person out there, then that's a problem. And if you violate these things and you do what I just said and you recommend the same thing to every single person, since there's regulations, what happens is you could get fined, you could get a lawsuit, you'll lose your job, you'll lose your license, and all sorts of things, right? Which is why I call most people clowns and idiots when it comes to investing in collectibles, because what they're doing is that they're making the same recommendation to every single person out there and telling everyone you should invest in this car, you should invest in sealed products, and everything's just gonna go to the moon. And just a little bit of to add on as well too is that just because there's these regulations in the financial industry, it does not mean that if you ever were to sit down with a financial advisor, they would all have your best interests at heart. There's a lot of people out there that you'll end up encountering that are scumbags, and that's throughout any industry, right? You'll run into people that they'll recommend something that they're licensed to sell because they might not be licensed to sell everything, and they'll just pitch you certain investments because that's just what they make the most money off of commission from. So you just have to be aware of that as well too when it comes to the finance industry. So what does suitability mean when it comes to investments and you planning for your financial future? What suitability means is that when it comes to you thinking about what you want to invest in and how you're going to save your money, is that you have to picture life as a timeline between when you're young and you're old. So what I mean by that, right? So your needs might be different while you're young and you're still not earning the most money and you're kind of like going paycheck to paycheck. You might have a lot of, liabilities such as loans, debts, and like payments that you have to make every month. So your needs might be different, right? Especially if you don't have kids or maybe you're still living with your parents. As opposed to your needs will be different when you're typically older, right? So you'll have, medical care expenses that you'll have to pay. Typically, you'll be earning more money and you might have reached your peak in regards to your salary. You have a retirement plan, hopefully. You'll have, certain responsibilities like kids that you have to support and mortgage payments and whatnot. So your needs typically change over time as well as your net worth. And it's still not like a one size fits all type of thing because some people, when they're younger, they might be earning a lot of money. Maybe you came across a certain amount of money from an inheritance or whatever it is, as well as there's one thing we all have to consider as well too. On top of the fact that everyone's needs are different, you might have different, responsibilities. There's also a certain level of risk tolerance that you have to be aware of. So what's risk tolerance, you might ask, right? This is exactly why I feel like there's a lot of idiots out there that are giving advice that they have no right to give because everyone's risk tolerance is different. Whereas there's a lot of factors that play into it, right? When you're younger, your risk tolerance might be higher because you have a longer time horizon. Like for example, if I'm in my 20s and I'm working, I have a lot of time before I retire. So if I lose money on the short term, it might not matter to me. And again, this is not one size fits all, right? Because I could be younger and you know what? I'm the type of person that I don't like taking risks. I like something more conservative. So I would typically choose investments that are fit for me that I know that I won't lose out too much money on over the short term and the long term. And then there's certain types of people that are more, acceptable to risk and they can stomach the short term losses. And they'll be like, you know what? I'm willing to go on something that's a little bit more risky, but with a higher chance of a return, right? And there's a balance between that. So when you actually come across someone that actually cares about your financial well-being and making sure that you have a good future when it comes to your finances, you'll come across people that are willing to listen to your needs and go like, you know what? It's not a one size fits all thing. It's not like, oh, you know what? This is, the stock to go for. Tesla and Elon Musk to the moon. Which is why I repeat over and over and over again when it comes to the collectibles markets and hype and all these like irresponsible social media channels. They tell everyone what you should invest in, what you shouldn't invest in, but it's not as simple as that. Even if we look at the timeline of our lives from when we're young to we're old, you'll understand why it's not a one size fits all type of thing. Everyone is different, everyone's needs is different, and a lot of times these things change over time. Your needs that are right now and what you find acceptable and what you find comfortable and what, is a necessity to you at the moment is not the same as when you have different needs when you get older or different life events happen to you. Like, you have a newborn baby, you have, suddenly a medical emergency happens, or, something life changing happens in your life, like you buy a house, you buy a car, you get married. So before you listen to just random advice from like random people online on, oh, you should buy this because it's going to be stonks, remember that there's a lot of risk associated with some of these things that you buy, especially in alternative investments like collectibles and trading cards. So before you buy that PSA 10 BGS 9 like stonks card like a my because all these people are hyping it up that it's a grail, think about it first, right? Am I gonna be able to stomach a loss on some of these cards like, my or Charizard when I could be putting my money elsewhere? As compared to if I were to tell you, you could literally just close your eyes, park your money in pretty much like, more conservative investments and get an average of like 5% return every year without ever worrying about it bottoming out on you. That's a big difference. And remember, right, at the end of the day, it's a hobby. It's for you to collect what you enjoy. If you like these characters, it's great, right? The point that I'm trying to make and I want people to know is that your money is parked for you and for you to save for your financial well-being and your personal well-being in the future. Holding one of these cards that you might not be able to sell later on just because these people are telling you that it stonks and people desire it and it's hyped up right now is different compared to if you had actual money that is liquid and in hand that you'll be able to use for whatever needs you have in the future, as opposed to items that are not as liquid and sometimes you might not even be able to sell it at all. So just remember before you listen to some of these people that are just saying everyone else is naysayers, everyone else is just like, oh, totally against graded cards, totally against investing in collectibles. Remember that these people do not care if you end up in financial ruin. They do not care if these cards bottom out on you. They only care about if they're able to pawn these cards off to you for thousands of dollars for their benefit, as well as on top of a lot of these YouTubers, a lot of these people on social media, when they're opening like, cases and cases of these products, you have to consider that their life situation might be different from yours, right? Their financial situation might be that they can afford to open all these products, and because they shill all these advertisements to you pretty much telling you how much these products are worth, they're selling these things back to you so that they're making money off of it, not just off of content, of advertisements, of them just, pretty much shilling these graded type products and sealed products to you because they bought it for cheap, so they're gonna profit off of you. It might sound a little bit cynical, but at the end of the day, a lot of people out there are just out for their benefit. And anytime, someone's trying to promote something to you or telling you to buy something, remember, they're trying to sell something to you. So at the end of the day, it's for their benefit, right? But when it comes to whether or not it affects you, once they finish the sale, it doesn't matter to them. So yeah, not just collectibles, when it comes to investments and advice in general, remember, it's not a one size fits all type of thing. Only you personally would know what your personal situation is, what your financial situation is, what kind of life events are happening in your lives, and you have to factor all those in before trying to take the advice of someone else and following in their footsteps, because they're just trying to give advice most of the time because it's just what works for them, or maybe it's just what benefits them because they're telling you to follow it, and they have some kind of kickback, and they make money off of it somehow. So just remember, at the end of the day, when you're buying some of these items, remember that you're buying it for yourself and for your personal enjoyment. And remember not to buy these things because other people are telling you to do so, or because you're falling into like a type of FOMO where, oh, everyone's hyping it out and I don't want to miss out on buying this while it's still available. Because unfortunately, at the end of the day, most of the time, only you are going to look out for you and your family. And a lot of these people really just don't care. Thank you for watching. I hope this helped a little bit in regards to just understanding collecting and investing in collectibles, as well as just how you could plan for your own personal investments outside of just collecting as well too. Because I think this is something that's really important that a lot of people don't understand, where they might just leave their money all in one type of thing, whether it's cash or in collectibles or everything else. And it's really important to remember that outside of, diversification, there's a lot of factors that play into it where your needs will change over time, and you need to adjust that on how you invest for your future, because none of us want to work for the rest of our lives, right? So that's why you need a plan. So I hope this helps, and if you don't have a plan, then remember, a lot of places that you work, you do have a lot of resources. Like, you might not be putting money into your 401k. You might not have actually spoke with someone that is able to do financial advisement in a lot of these companies that you work for, and you have a lot of these resources that are given to you for free. And for those out there that are already heavily invested in these collectibles and you feel like you're at the point of no return and you're looking at these like stacks and stacks of sealed products or like, single cards, remember that it's never too late to just back out, because I feel like a lot of people are feeling too ashamed to admit that they got roped into a lot of these investments, and they just feel like they can't back out of it. And this happens even in real life when it comes to stuff like pyramid schemes, right? People are just so deep into it that I feel like there's no escape. So at that point, you want to try to just change course and just start putting your money into actual things that will better your lives. It doesn't have to be like actual investments. If you want to just save your money and set it aside, that's fine, right? If you want to put your money towards improving your life, like, affording things for your kids, affording things for yourself, eating something nice, it could be anything like that. Whereas a lot of times when you're investing in these collectibles, when it bottoms out on you, especially like, sometimes you're thinking, let me just spend every paycheck and, wait it out until maybe 30 years from now, someone's going to want this Charizard, or someone wants this like, swimsuit my card or something like that, right? That's a really risky bet. But yeah, I hope this helps someone out there, and if it does, then please let me know. And if you haven't subscribed already, please do. I really, really appreciate it, and I hope with all the content I'm putting out, I win you guys over time, as outside of earning your subscribe, and also just deserving to have you guys keep watching my videos. Thank you and take care.